Hey, how y'all doing out there today? Listen, I have a message of life for a particular group of people in America, which is the young black male in particular, but really most of all black American. And I got a very strong, serious message for you, and I hope you take it as strong and as serious as I give it to you, because it comes from my heart, and it also comes from a lot of knowledge and paying attention to this. But before I get started, I'm going to say right now, I have not one bit of understanding about the plight or being an urban black man or human in America, much less the urban areas. I did spend a large portion of my life in the South, and I was raised with poor country folks, so I know country folks and I know country community, okay, and super poor. So, but where you were able to take care of each other. So before I get started, I just want to say I'm not some social justice warrior. I'm just a amateur historian and a brother that cares. And I hate the powers that be. I hate the kings that think they are in power over all of us. So I just want to tell you that the way things are today have been planned for you. Everything from the way you dress to the music you listen to the attitude, the world's largest in history prison system. All this has been created just for you. A lot of people are going to disagree with me on that, but I'm going to tell you why. They want to. It's basically a good way of controlling and depopulating or keeping a population. If you'll notice, the black population in America hardly ever rises over 12 or 13%. It usually stays a steady 10 to 13%. That's strange when others seem to fluctuate, go up and down. You gotta kind of look at that and take it with more than a grain of salt. But in the early 70s, after the LBJ, the Lyndon Johnson, or President Johnson, they started the Civil Rights Act. They wanted to make you a minority, make you dependent on the government, make you think that they were there to help you. And all the time the plan was just to destroy the black family. It was to rip you apart. Proof of this is just later on in the Nixon administration, I believe it was in 73, the Roe versus Wade decision came up to legalize abortion. And the black mother back then was still very strong. The family unit was still very intact. So they knew that they couldn't do it just by saying, hey, it's legal to get rid of a baby. Nobody would do that. But when you make it a right, when you make it something that they're holding against you or a woman's right to choose, they used a lot of psychological warfare on that one, that's for sure. But it wasn't for women's rights so much as it was to depop. They had predicted, the government looks at statistics, and they had predicted that there was going to be this super giant rise in the late 80s and early 90s, and especially in the 90s, of urban youth, black youth, all right? And this was going to cause a lot of gang violence. This could even be a takeover of the cities. They even had movies about it in the 70s, like The Warriors, where the gangs were going to take over. And some guy named, I believe his name was Cyrus, was going to take over. And but anyway, they really feared this. So they basically decided to allow the criminal to be killed before it was born. And I say that because that's the way it was. That's the way this plan was laid out. That's why this really happened. It was so they could kill this population wave that was coming up, that they knew was coming up, and it would be in the urban areas, which would probably cause more gang violence and takeovers of the cities, like I said. Now, you go from that, then you look at how they flooded the streets with during the 80s with the crack. It hit the urban areas the hardest. The other more class-related areas of town, the partying was always with the powder. No, the crack hit the urban cities, and this also caused a lot of violence and caused a lot of killing each other. And about that time, the Clinton administration, y'all think the Clintons were big liberals. The Clinton administration was trying to figure out a way of marking you as a criminal, as having a thug mentality. So probably starting around 91, I believe, they started to infiltrate the prison system, especially I believe in Cochran, California, and they started making that popular. Matter of fact, I hate to tell you brothers this, but many of y'all have been infiltrated by the CIA and the FBI to promote a lot of things. The music, but anyway, the bust and the sag and the flat brim hat, the Nikes. Look how many people get murdered over Nikes. Now, that's just a thing, but it's also a marker. This would show a fashion that would lean towards a thug mentality. So they could actually mark you in the street and see you. They wouldn't have to ask your ID. They could just say, hey, that guy's most likely, because they go by statistics, is most likely to be a thug. He thinks like that. He dresses like that. So apparently he is like that. That way they could come after you. And guess what? When you're holding your britches, You can't really run, so part of that was to make it a little bit easier to capture you. So if you did try to run, or to probably make you more likely to stand and just face the officer thinking you might get away with it because you're not doing nothing. How many times does the police come up on you and you're not doing nothing and you got away with it? So I just want to ask you that, because that part of America is very real. That's the other thing. Around the same time, the rap music started getting really big, but also that music leaned towards criminal behavior, treating women bad, money, 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 you know, everything for you, bling, bling, all that, take it, it's yours. But there was no censorship of that. And you think that the music, well, they didn't censor our music. They don't censor nobody's music. Well, I just want to say at that same time period, the heavy metal, especially the thrash metal, bands like Megadeth and Metallica. Look at the Metallica album, Injustice for All. It's about the New World Order, about how the shadow government takes us. How all the things about the government, the PMRC back then, which was a regulatory thing for music, they labeled their music. They didn't label anybody else's music, but it was allowed to go. And even when people spoke out about it and said this mentality is actually destructive, the music is great. The telling a story of urban life is great, but some of this has turned into, look at how everybody started to act, and they see people on TV and they see people in the music industry acting a certain way. This also caused a lot of murder, a lot of gang violence, a lot of killing of each other. They have you killing each other is the whole point I'm trying to tell you, brothers. This is planned on you through fashion, through music, through social media, through the television, through laws, through the prison system. They got you thinking that, some of you fellas thinking that it's cool to go to prison, like you're going to go get your mark and that's going to show that you're tough. They give you all these things to die for. I die for my dogs. I die for my brother. I die for my gang. I die for my people. But they never tell you nothing to live for, brothers. Oh my God, I hope you can see the evil in that. They took away teaching you anything about real life, mothering of the woman, the being the sister, being the man of the house. And it's all to get something, money and hoes, having all the women you can have, just doing this, that, and the other. And look, they took the man out of the home. I told you before, in 1964, when the government said they was helping you, which is actually when they started to destroy you, the black family was 78% intact. And today it's 7% intact. And the black people are just right behind, like white people in abortions, but you're only 13% of the population. So that's way more. See what I'm saying? You got now you times it like by 6. That's how many more of what you want to say your people. And I don't care about labels, y'all. I get labeled and I don't care. What I am is a brother that knows the truth about your history. Let's just say since the 60s. I'm not going to go way back. See, that's the other thing. They don't teach you nothing in school except for about the bad things of history. They don't teach you in school about how the original man, the original civilization, the kings of old. I mean, they never teach you that part. They take away the people that build nations, build black nations like they did to Gaddafi. Look what they did to that man in Libya. So they keep you down this way by making you fight each other. Now, that's the biggest point that I'm going to make to you right now. They have you doing their dirty work for you. So please research why they popularized busting this act. Please research why the rap music was allowed to stay violent towards women and criminal towards getting money for drug deals. Please research we are the largest prison system in the world and about 80% black. And down in the South, it's like 85 to 87% black. Look at the inner city murder rates and look at how it applies to you. And look how they also got white America fearing the thug mentality, but having you thinking that's your culture and that's your style and that's the way we're going to be. So they keep enemies just through fashion and music. Just through fashion and music, which actually should be things of beauty. Fashion was supposed to be showing yourself out. And music's supposed to calm the savage beast or be a release and expression of who you are and how you feel. That part of that music was amazing. Amazing. But they allowed the twist. They pay a lot of your brothers off. They pay a lot of your brothers off, and y'all know it. And when other brothers stand up in the modern day, like Tupac Shakur, they got shot down. When Michael Jackson even stood up, he killed himself in his bed, or he was demonized. You see what I'm saying? Anybody that tries to tell you the truth, that's in that world you're living in, they get killed. And guess what? It gets killed through violence. And they promote violence. You didn't do this. This isn't what you made for yourself. This was made for you. So please see that. Take back your culture. Take back your lives. Live your lives. Stay outside. America's a country where you're supposed to be able to live like you want wherever you live. So do that. Don't forget that. Quit worrying about what people that don't like you think about you, and stick with what the people that are your brother, your tribe, people that want to coexist, people that want to live their way like me and coexist with you, my brother. Because I don't want to be killed for how I look, and I don't want you killed for how you look. That's how we coexist. And we also coexist by being real with each other and by speaking to each other. Now, I'm speaking to you as an older male elder, not as a white man, not as a white Southerner. I think a lot of you older men out there, too, we should be talking to these young brothers and teaching them life again. You young brothers, you go live. You go live your way. But you make sure you're living your way. You make sure you're not being tricked and killing your own brother and to live in some other way so you can be marked and kept down. Think about that, brothers. I love you. Peace. And don't live in fear. Pay attention and research. Research hard.